Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Naqiba Fazal, and I'm going to present my topic to Ma'am Hira Atif. My topic is Gauss's divergence theorem. Let's talk about some history of this topic. The theorem was first discovered by Lagrange in 1762, then later independently discovered by Gauss in 1813, then by Ostrogradsky, who also gave the first proof of the general theorem in 1826, and by Green in 1828, and by Dennis in 1824, and then Frederick in 1828. Now we are going to know that why Gauss's theorem is an important theorem, because we know that we use Green's and Stokes theorem to change line integral to surface integral. Similarly, when we want to change surface integral to volume integral, we will use Gauss's theorem. Usefulness: both surface integrals and triple integrals can be very nasty to compute, but the divergence theorem gives a tool for translating back and forth between them, and oftentimes it can help turn a particularly difficult surface integral into an easier volume integral. Second thing, it is also a powerful theoretical tool, especially for physics. In electrodynamics, it lets you express various fundamental rules like Gauss's law either in terms of divergence or in terms of a surface integral. Before we start our main topic, we have to discuss something like flux in 3 dimensions, triple integrals, normal vector, divergence, and the statement of Green's theorem. And then orientation of piecewise smooth closed surface, explanation of 2-dimension and 3-dimension divergence theorem, proof and formula of divergence theorem, example, question from exercise, and then applications, electrostatic and inverse square fields. If you noticed, my background is about electrostatic, and then we will summarize our topic. So here we go. Flux in 3 dimensions. When a 3-dimensional vector field F is thought of as representing a fluid flow, the flux of F through a surface S is a measure of how much fluid passes through that surface per unit time. It is measured with the flowing integral F dot n dA, this expression. If we talk about triple integrals, this is very easy, that a triple integral is a 3-fold multiple integral of the form this. Triple integrals arise in evaluating quantities such as the mass, volume, moment, centroid, or moment of inertia of 3-dimensional objects. If we talk about normal vector, the normal vector, often simply called the normal to a surface, is a vector which is perpendicular to the surface at a given point. If we talk about divergence, divergence in any dimensions measures the tendency for fluid to flow away from each point in space. In other words, divergence gives the outward flow rate per unit volume near a point. The divergence of a vector field F, denoted TIVF or del dot F, is defined by a limit of the surface integral, like this. If we talk about Green's theorem, let C be the positively oriented, smooth and simple closed curve in a plane, and D be the region bounded by the C if L and M are the functions of xy defined on the open region containing D and have continuous partial derivatives, then the Green's theorem is stated as like this. where the path integral is traversed counterclockwise. Orientation of piecewise smooth closed surface. Here we will be concerned exclusively with surfaces that are boundaries of finite solid. Closed surface. A closed surface is a surface that is compact and without boundary. Examples of closed surface are surface of a solid sphere, the surface of a solid box, or the surface of a solid cylinder. Example of non-closed surface are an open disc, which is a sphere with a puncture, a cylinder, which is a sphere with two punctures. Piecewise smooth surface. A closed surface may or may not be smooth, but most of the surfaces that arise in applications are piecewise smooth. That is, they consist of finitely many smooth surfaces joined together at the edges like a box. Inward orientation, toward the interior of the solid. Outward orientation, away from the interior of the solid. Here is the example of outward orientation. This is outward orientation. Okay. Now, divergence theorem in two dimensions. I'm going to explain this. Let's we have a region which is known as C, and we have also vector fields and normal vectors. F dot n, where F is vector field and n normal vector. The flux across the boundary is essentially going to be the vector field. It's our vector field F dotted with normal vector. F dot n times our little chunk of the boundary, which is dr. If we sum them all up over the entire boundary, which is integral C, because C is the region. So that's the same thing as summing up over the entire region, like this. Each little chunk of area we could call the dx, that dx dy, but we are taking dA here. So now we have F dot n dr is equal to this one. Now we have this expression, the divergence of F, which is saying how much is that vector field pulling apart. The vector field at the boundary is actually going in the direction of the normal vector. So we have positive divergence, and this is going to be positive value. Now suppose we have another region. There is very limited divergence, maybe it's constant. Over here we will get positive many flux because the vector field direction is same as normal. But this vector field is in negative flux. By seeing that how much stuff is coming in and how much is coming out, so our net flux will be 0. Here we have low divergence, so we'll get low flux. Otherwise, in previous figure we had high divergence, so got high flux. Now another region. Now we have negative divergence or convergence. So the flux across the boundary is negative, as across most of the boundary the vector field is in opposite direction as normal vector. So it gives us sense that why we have this connection between the divergence over the region and the flux across the across the boundary. Now divergence theorem in 3 dimension. Suppose we have sphere which is known as S and vector fields and normal vectors. Here the flux across the surface, we would take our vector field F dot normal vector at the surface and multiply that times a little chunk of surface which is ds and sum it up by these two integrals. Just because of 3D, we have now volume rather than area. It's the exact same logic. Like in 2 dimension, here we were summing the divergence in the region and had flux across curve. And now here we are summing it in the volume and flux across surface. Now we are going to do proof of special case and formula. Formula can also be written as like this. Number 1, Fi in the direction of I dot n ds is equal to this one in the direction of j in the direction of k. They all are similar to do, that's why we are doing number 3. Suppose that G has upper surface z is equal to this one, lower surface z is equal to this one, and projection R on the xy plane. So the expression will be like this. And then after applying integrals, we will get this. Next we will evaluate the surface integral by integrating over each surface of G separately. If there is a literal surface sigma 3, then at each point of this surface k dot n is equal to 0. Since n is horizontal and k is vertical, we will get this is equal to 0. And then we will get this one. Integral sigma 1 and integral sigma 2 will be added. On the upper surface sigma 2, the outer normal is an upward normal, and on the lower surface sigma 1, the outer normal is a downward normal. So by these formulas we will get this. Then we have this one with negative sign. We are taking common here actually. And then we will get this one by simplify this. Now follow the resulting equations. We will have this one and the previous one, this one. So by combining we will have this one. Hence proved. Now we are going to do an example. Use the divergence theorem to find the outward flux of the vector field F is equal to zk, where k is a direction, across the sphere x square plus y square plus z square is equal to a square. Solution: let sigma denote the outward oriented spherical surface and G the region that is encloses. The divergence of the vector field is this, and then easily we can simplify volume of G, which is 4 pi a cube over 3. Now we are going to do question of exercise 16, where f is equal to this one, where sigma is the surface of the solid bounded above by z is equal to root a square minus x square minus y square, which is a hemisphere, and below by the xy plane we will have this hemisphere. So using the divergence theorem, the flux of the vector field we will have across the hemisphere solid z is equal to this one is given by phi is equal to this one, which is the formula of flux, where in spherical coordinates g is equal to r, theta and phi, where theta is from 0 to 2 pi, phi is 0 to pi upon 2, and r is 0 to a, because it's a hemisphere. That's why we will have these all limits. Is the solid bounded by the hemisphere, taking into account that del dot f is equal to this one, and the flux result will be this. This is all the simplification. Finally we will get 5 over 4 pi a power 4. Now we are going to explain applications of Gauss's theorem. Inverse square fields, which is the background of this slide. Well, Gauss's law for inverse square field, if fr is equal to c over mod cube r multiplied by r, is an inverse square field in 3 space, and if phi is a closed orientable surface that surrounds the origin, then the outward flux of f across sigma is this one. And if we talk about another application, Gauss's law in electrostatics, a single charge particle of charge q located at the origin creates an inverse square field, this one, in which Fr is the electrical force exerted by q on a unit positive charge, q is equal to 1, obviously, located at the point with positive vector r. In this case, Gauss's law states that the outward flux across any closed orientable surface sigma that surrounds q is this one. Finally, we will get q over epsilon naught. And now finally we are summarizing all our topic. The divergence theorem says that when you add up all the little bits of outward flow in a volume using a triple integral of divergence, it gives a total outward flow from the volume as measured by the flux through its surface, like this. Add up little bits of outward flow in V, which is volume, measure is equal to measures total outward flow through volumes boundary. So that was the end of my presentation. Thanks for the attention.